So welcome, Andrea. Welcome, Michele. The reason we are all here today is because we are attending the conference Performance-Based Facade Design 2025 in Venice. And we have the pleasure to have this interview in such a beautiful location in Venice. And it's easy to understand why Venice has inspired so many generations of architects and visitors like us today. So before we get started, I would like you to introduce yourself, to say a few words about yourself and your background. Maybe Andrea first.
So I'm an associate director with Janney Elstner, an architect and facade engineer. I spent the first 10 years of my career practicing architecture and designing mostly tall buildings and hospitals. Spent the last 8 to 9 years focusing on facade engineering with Janney.
So, Michele,
I'm associate director at WJE. I work in the facade field. I just joined the company and I've spent the last 10 years working as a facade consultant in the UK. I'm a chartered building engineer in Italy and I'm a member of the Society of Facade Engineers in the UK. Prior to that, I worked mostly in the architectural field in Germany and before that in Italy.
So Michele, from your perspective as associate director at WGD, how does performance-based approach for the facade industry reshape the practice of facade engineering and architecture in the perspective at the intersection of advanced technology and the natural elements?
Sure. I think performance-based design is pushing more and more pressure on collaboration at an early stage between different fields of expertise. When it comes to facade design, there are so many different fields that come together. So as facade consultants, we play an important role in understanding these requirements and finding a common field of application, because sometimes these requirements can also be conflicting. From an architectural point of view, it's a new challenge. Well, it's always been there, but probably more than before. It's with the architects to interpret the ever more stringent requirements and turn them into a beautiful architectural design. So it's really an interesting time to work as a consultant as part of a design team and work together to come to design results. In terms of manufacturing, we see that requirements like reduction in embodied carbon is affecting the manufacturing processes to be more efficient, and even material formulations, and that's pushing towards innovation in the construction industry. Even natural materials, which is one of the topics of this meeting, are finding a new field of application in more and more advanced technologies like unitized curtain walling for timber. And again, as consultants, we need to be careful with understanding as much as possible where the risks are at an early stage and try to design them out. Testing plays a very important role for future proofing on these materials, so that we don't end up with a project that is a guinea pig for a technology that has not been properly tested.
So Andrea, how has your international project work influenced your approach to innovation, to building envelopes?
Well, working internationally has shown me the prescriptive nature of codes. Being installations and doing investigation work, you have to have a first principles approach. And what that means is understanding the underlying principles of how a detail is supposed to work and understanding the essential drivers of risk. The fundamentals don't change across countries. You can always fall back on physics and material science to guide you. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's been challenging for me as well, working across countries, is how different the codes are and how restrictive they can be. And so if you want to break out of that and give the designer more freedom, it's like a quantifiable freedom. You have to really justify the design, but you can do that now with the advanced simulation tools that we have, and it gives the designer more freedom ultimately. But you have to be working with a team that's willing to listen to that rather than fall back on just the prescriptive nature of the code.
Maybe another point is, as the early stage, it's important not to be overly conservative, because each field would like to keep a nice, wide, additional figure to their calculations. But as the requirements get more and more onerous, it's really hard to keep that allowance on all topics, especially when they're conflicting. So it's also pushing the boundaries for the level of detail at an early stage and the quality of the early stage assessments.
Yeah, I think that's something that was covered very well in the conference, where we had the presenters with all of these very wonderful out-of-the-box solutions. And, all the testing that went into it to justify it, to prove it, the research. They proved it out, and now they have these beautiful buildings that are unique instead of some of the standard things that we see. That's one of the things about, I think, this conference is very special, is it inspires people, designers, to take that approach, to really taper the solution to the problem.
Other values you think participants will gain from attending such a conference with the centers around performance-based facade design? Question to both of you.
Yes, for me it was beyond my expectations. I found myself taking lots of notes and Googling links as the speakers were presenting other projects or materials or new technologies. And yes, it was really an update on where certain fields are. We have bending technology for glass, for instance, stations, and possible applications in the built environment, just to mention a few. And then the current architecture research forward by Hadid in nature as inspiration for their own design. Yeah. That's also pushing the boundaries for manufacturers to meet those design ambitions.
On a very large scale.
On a very large scale, yes. Yeah. So it's inspiring. Yes, we leave. I think we all leave from refreshed and more curious, and maybe a bit more humble as well. At least from my perspective, there's always so much to learn. Every day is a cool day in this industry, and that's what makes it exciting.
For me, it's inspiration. I was very inspired by this conference to see how people are pushing the envelope, and to see how they're backing that up with research, with testing. They're really justifying the design and taking the envelope and pushing it. And I think this is wonderful. And this is the way that we want to go. If we want to continue to make progress, we have to continue to be curious. We have to continue to justify the things that we do. I think one of the dangers, though, is that with all of these advanced simulation tools, we can prove wonderful things, but you're only as good as the installation. So closing the gap between simulation and installation, I think, is going to be one of the challenges that we have to deal with moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this moment we shared together.
Yeah.
And enjoy your time on the second day of the conference and your time in Venice as well.
Beautiful Venice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. This was wonderful.